Good morning, John Quade.
Good morning, Nick Cubic.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm alive. You know what, though, John?
Well-
I'm really, really excited because today the high in Nashville is only going to be 64 degrees.
You are a weirdo.
I am a weirdo. I know I'm a weirdo, but it's so exciting because it has been so long that it's been so hot here. Yesterday was a little bit cooler. Yesterday was 82. The day before was 82, but then before that, it was still in the 90s. So the fact that it's not supposed to get even back up into the 80s for the foreseeable future, which I'm stoked for because my favorite, yes, I like the cold. I could live in the cold all the time, but my favorite season is fall.
I agree with you. Ours just aren't long enough here in Cheeseland.
No, I remember that from growing up there. It was my favorite, but it was always, I see pictures of my cousins right now. And one of them posted the other day, I don't know if it was yesterday, they were actually at a campground and I think they were in Wisconsin. I'm not positive, but I know they were north of the Twin Cities somewhere.
Oh,
and they were having a snowball fight.
Awesome.
And it's so like, this is just wrong. Yeah, right. I know. I was watching, when I say watching the Weather Channel, it's the Weather Channel app on my phone, but I can see a map. They have the little video below the weather and it shows a map of the video, or on the video, there's a map and it shows where my dad lives getting blanketed by like 2 feet of snow right now.
The Dakotas, yes.
Dakotas, yeah.
Bismarck, I think, has like 12 to 14. And you're right, some other areas are over 2 feet.
Yeah. Well, he's west of Bismarck, so he's closer to the mountains.
Yeah.
Which that's where
pelted.
Oh, most definitely getting pelted.
Oh, wow.
What's new with you? How you doing?
Great. I would love 64 degrees here, but no such luck. So the Harley sits in the garage. I may throw on some really warm duds and go out and ride at some point, but it's not gonna. I don't think it'll hit 50 today.
Oh, that's not cool. Actually, it is very cool.
That's totally, yeah, it is cool. It's totally different from 64. I'm really with you on autumn, and I love the crisper mornings and evenings and so on. As long as you get to a high in the 60s or maybe even 70s, man, I could handle that all the time. But it's just we have a week of autumn. And then suddenly we're putting everything away for the winter because we know it's coming.
Yeah. I just don't. I here.
You make me laugh. You go, yeah. We're like Barney and Andy on the old Andy Griffith show.
We started watching that the other day. Not the other day. It was probably a couple months ago. Just because here's our difficulty and I'm sure it must have been the same when we didn't have the technology that we have now. But when there's a big branch down in my backyard we heard this really loud noise yesterday. I know this is completely random. I apologize.
That's okay.
But I noticed, it's almost like a tree.
Wow.
We heard this really loud noise, but we thought it was just our neighbor bringing the garbage can in from the street because yesterday was garbage day, and it looks like no, it was a branch falling off of one of my trees.
Wow,
interesting.
How big around are we talking?
Fence. We're talking a good. It looks from here to be about 12 inches.
So, did you guys have storms?
Not recently. No, it was just raining a lot yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, I digress.
Yes.
Per usual. What were we talking about?
I like how you do this. You go, oh, and this one thing, and then you go, squirrel.
Exactly.
Say, what was I talking about? I don't know. You didn't say anything.
I know, but what were we? We were talking about autumn.
Where were you
talking
going?
About fall.
Where were you going?
I don't know. I'm drinking an Americano this morning. I decided. So I actually pulled out the espresso machine today to make an Americano.
Really?
Yeah.
You are obviously feeling better.
Most of our coffee listeners will. I'm feeling much better. There's still a little residual pain. Yesterday was the first day I actually wore semi-regular clothes instead of pajamas.
Like men's clothes?
Yeah, men's clothes.
Okay.
So we talked. I don't think I have worked my way up to women's clothes yet. Anyway, and I can laugh. All right, so we got a little interruption there for a second, but back to what we were talking about, which is amazing for me. And
Podius
interruptus. But I did remember what I was trying to say before, so I'm going to try to keep that in my brain. I did tell you a minute ago, so just remind me when we get there if I forget again.
They make these pens. You could actually use.
I have a pen in my hand, but I don't have paper in front of me.
Write it on the wall.
Oh yeah, I get really in trouble for that. Would. Anyway, so, yes, I feel much better. So we recorded almost a week ago, last week, but fast forward to the day, and a lot of our listeners probably who follow us on social media probably saw my post that I was actually able to put on my pants for the very first time on Tuesday, my own pants, without assistance.
Yeah. You got some crap for that too.
I love it. I wouldn't post anything if I didn't expect it. You know, I actually had this conversation with Chris, my manager, a good friend of ours, that if I actually, when I have a conversation or I post something like that, I look to see, or I try to expect the different types of responses I'm going to get back. And if I'm going to get anything that's super negative, I'm not going to post it, right? Yep. It's kind of that picture when we were in Chicago, I explained that picture with the thing in the background that I didn't notice before I posted it. You know, if I would have seen that, I would have thought, okay, what kind of reactions am I going to get? I'm going to pick the top 3. And if those top 3 are going to be great, I'll post it. If one of them is going to be bad, I probably won't post it, right? So I had all of these ideas. I wanted to get the feedback. I wanted to get almost that shock value when I posted that, but not really shock. That's a poor word, poor use of phrase, I guess. But it was still very exciting for me that day when I actually was able to take my own shower. So all of this to say,
Podius interruptus.
All right, so we got interrupted again. We might miss a little beat here, but I'm going back to my story because I remember it, even though it's been a few minutes.
Pen.
Anywho, pen. Got it. And I have paper now, but now it's out of my reach. It's on the other side of my microphone. I don't know if I can reach that far.
It's a good thing you have pen and paper. You just can't get at them.
Right. Okay, so when I... on Tuesday, which was a couple of days after you and I recorded the podcast, so it was the day the podcast actually went live, I was feeling much better. I mean, I just woke up and I felt great.
Awesome.
It was a complete change from even the day before. So I took a shower. I actually was able to do that on my own, which was exciting. I put on my own pants on my own. It's tricky, but I got it. So that was the biggest part of my day, but I was feeling so good that I decided in the afternoon, I'm going to try to drive. I just want to see how comfortable I feel. And I took my wife's SUV versus my car. So I got to sit a little higher and a little bit more straight up, I guess. And I went and picked up my daughter at school. She's 15 minutes away with traffic. So it's not a bad little round trip. And everything went fine until I got to her school and hit the speed bumps.
Oh,
that hurt. But picked her up, brought her home. I made her a quick dinner. Nothing. I mean, it took me 5 minutes, and we worked on her homework a little bit. So I wasn't standing that much, but between the shower and the excitement for putting on my own pants, getting my daughter, and the subsequent homework afterwards, I was wiped out. And the next day, Wednesday, was horrible. I mean, I barely got off the couch. At least I was on the couch, but I could barely move. So I call it my Tuesday, my Black Tuesday, because it was very dark. It was a very good day, but I pushed it too far. And but other than that, since then, it's been I have a few aches and pains in certain areas. I can't stay up for too long, but I actually went back to work on Thursday and Friday, which for us is working from home mostly, but I worked all day, which was much needed because I do enjoy work and I enjoy my work. So I was 2 weeks without it, and it was kind of getting to me. But other than that, yeah, it was great.
Other than that, it was great.
Other than that, it was
Well,
great.
and that's, I guess we are predisposed to do things like that where we, try to push things a little bit and then end up paying the price sometimes. And I think that's humans, what we do. But but it does give you pause. When you say, should I, fill in the blank, you kind of go, I don't really want to be on the couch again all day.
Right, exactly. And I still was. That was the weird part. It wasn't like I was running a marathon.
Yeah.
I took a shower and got dressed and helped a little with homework. I mean, I was not probably up on my feet for more than 2 hours the entire day. Like, I mean, for extended periods of time. Obviously, I got up to walk around a bit because that's what my doctor told me to do, but nothing strenuous.
But
it wasn't like I was out doing lawn work or yard work or anything.
But marathon runners, every time they get done with a marathon, they generally take a shower and put their clothes on. Maybe it's not the running that bothers them.
That's
Maybe
true.
it's the showering and putting clothes on.
I think you're a genius. I think you've hit the jackpot there.
The next day.
Well, I can't even speak because it's such an amazing revelation.
I know the 26.2 miles was no big deal, but that shower and putting on my pants.
Right? Incredible.
Yeah.
Freaking incredible.
I bet marathoners have never thought of that before.
No.
They should just not bathe after they're done.
Yeah, then they'll feel fine. They won't have to worry about it. They'd be awfully stinky, but who cares, right? I feel so good right now.
As long as they're not in my house.
I stink like crap, but I feel good.
I will not allow marathoners in my house, so it won't matter to me.
Is that like, do you have a sign that's similar to warning, trespassers will be shot, survivors will be shot twice, or how does that go?
Well, ours says no solicitor. I'm not sure what sign you have at your place.
Well, I do live in Tennessee.
Yes, I will mess you up if you come near my house. Love, Mr. Glock.
That's right. I like that one. That's a good one. We haven't done sayings in a while. That was my whole thing for a little while, was I was going to start posting those on our Instagram and stuff, and I don't know where the time's gone.
Yeah. Well, you've been having surgeries.
Oh, that little thing, yeah. But I did promise our listeners that I wasn't going to talk about it anymore. So let's move on. I think we've bored them over the last 3 months 2 months talking about it.
I think they are going to be delighted to hear you back today because your voice is way more enthusiastic than it was last week. It was tough last week. I could tell you were not feeling great, and so could the listeners.
Well, I'm sure the listeners could, but they also probably didn't hear half the stuff that I pulled out of the recording.
I stopped listening after the golden shower thing.
Oh, I think most people did the same. No, there was a lot of groans and uhs and I took a lot of them out. So yeah, I might have sound pained, but if I would have left all of that in, you would have really felt bad.
Well, everybody was concerned and wanted to know how you're doing. I'm confident of that. So I'm glad we dealt with it, and we are delighted to have you back in perfect form.
Well, I'm delighted to be back. I'm at least at 35%.
You at 35% is better than some people at 100%.
Oh, man. So we are, going back, we've had to start and stop this recording now 3 times. And I went down and I wanted to restart. I have both my wife and my daughter. Obviously, it's Saturday, so both my wife and daughter are home. But my wife is not feeling well either, which I think it's just all of the stress of the last few months and stuff is all just kind of piled on. So we already know Peyton had strep recently. I think I said that. I don't remember. So she just got over that. Then of course I had my surgery, and now my wife has the flu. So yeah, it's just been a mess. Everything comes in threes. So I hope this is it. I hope this weekend everyone's going to be just fine and dandy for next week. My daughter has fall break, so it's not like they're going to do much anyways. But anyway, so they're home right now, and my daughter doesn't like to watch the same things we do. Now, everything we do in the house is streaming. This is from way in the beginning what we were talking about, what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, so right now my daughter is sitting on the couch next to my wife, watching her YouTube videos, her Roadblocks YouTube videos on her computer, while my wife is watching a movie on Netflix on the television. which is why the internet is so slow right now, which is why we keep getting kicked off. So I just had to text my wife because I went down there and I reset the internet. There was another issue with it, but I reset the internet and said, I might have to ask one of you to, at least for the next 30 minutes or so, just not watch anything because I need bandwidth. Bandwidth here sucks so much. And we've always talked about how much I hate AT&T.
Yeah.
AT&T is horrible in my neighborhood and in my house. And the part that I struggle with so much is my only other option is Comcast. And yes, their speeds are better, but everybody complains about them in our neighborhood. So it's like, okay, who's worse?
Agreed.
In AT&T, who constantly lets me down and doesn't have, I have the fastest AT&T speed we can have, and it's still not enough. Or do I go to the enemy who everyone hates, but has more speed? I don't know if it's reliable. No one ever tells me which one's more reliable. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Go ahead.
No, just real quickly. That's the problem is that you will go and we're much faster and we're they make all these promises and their one delivers.
Right. Well, so here's there's a difference between DSL and cable, anyways. When you're dealing with DSL, which technically they don't call it DSL anymore, but technically mine is still DSL. DSL is one pipe and it goes from the telephone pole to your house. Yeah. No one else is sucking your bandwidth. So when they say you've got, for example, 25 megabits, you've got 25 megabits.
Right.
And it's 25 megabits to your house. When you have cable and you have, just for ease of mathematics, not really math, anyway, when you have 25 megabits of cable, that means you have 25 megabits and anyone downstream of that is sharing that 25 megabits with you.
Correct.
So when it hits your house, if you're at the end of the street, you're going to end up with maybe 5 of those 25 megabits.
Exactly.
That's how the difference works.
Yes.
But that's also why cable can offer 300 megabits when AT&T can only offer 25 megabits in a given neighborhood because they're segmenting it out beforehand. They used to not do that. So it's probably a good idea to go to cable in this case.
Well, I won't tell you what to do, but we've done both. We had back in the day a digital subscriber line, DSL, and we have had cable, and the cable just performs largely, at least, way better, and it is generally more consistent. However, as you say, it seems like the worst possible moment. I've got something planned or a webinar to do or something, and it's gone. you got to reset, and sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, and they're just inconsistent, and the service is lackluster at best.
Right. So actually, what I used to do because of that, I had a timer set, like a Christmas tree timer. I had that plugged into my router, and I would, in the middle of the night, probably 3 or 4 in the morning, so it was getting closer the next day, I'd have it shut off, and then 10 minutes later, turn back on. So every day it recycled my router. And that seemed to work.
The only thing I'd want a timer for would be to show, and I have AT&T cable. Or no, I shouldn't say that. I have AT&T owning DirecTV, and I have Spectrum cable.
Okay.
And the Spectrum, they shut off in the middle of the night. I'm often awake at 2 in the morning, and I'll come in my office and work on something before back to bed. And I find I have no cable. I want a timer that tells me how much time they shut it off when most people are not active without, knowing it. So I can.
That's weird that they shut it off.
Well, it's just like down. I'm sure they're doing something or not doing something, but I want to lower my bill payment by the percentage that is available or unavailable. I guess that would be
unavailable. Yeah, that would be nice.
I know,
but of course that would be too sensible. Why would you expect that from any company?
Exactly. Yes. So okay. So tell me about your week. Was it mostly healing? Was that the kind of the part of the
pretty
week?
Much yeah.
So mine was weird because I didn't have to get on a plane, but I was working with a client this week, and I thought you would appreciate this especially.
Okay.
I'm close to Madison, Wisconsin, about 25 miles away, and our client was in Madison. So I actually stayed at a hotel for 2 nights, 25 miles away from my house, just because the team was there and we, had dinner, interacted, and talked about plans going forward. So it was kind of an interesting, unique thing. But I don't ever stay in the hotels, not surprisingly, in Madison. And the one I chose, which is it's a Marriott property now that Marriott has taken over just about everything. It's a Sheraton. And, the rooms were nice. It had all been redone. And so it was a decent place. Rates were pretty good. But we walked in the front door and it was like musty.
Oh, that's too bad.
And no carpeting. I mean, it was like tile floors.
That's weird.
But it was still musty smelling. Oh, man. Everybody else was, yeah.
Well, it surprises me that you actually stayed, because I know the people you're talking about. And I would say probably 99% of them, when they have any little question about a hotel or a place, they just up and leave.
Yeah. And that was part of the was in the plans, in the works, but the rooms were themselves, at least mine, was terrific. It was very nice and tastefully redecorated and new carpeting and blah, blah, blah.
Maybe it was just they're still renovating. But give them the benefit of the doubt.
That may have something to do with it, but theirs were not as forgiving, I guess. One of the guys had wasps in his room.
Whoa. So this isn't that really beautiful historic hotel that's right downtown, is it?
No, that's the concourse.
Yes, that's where I stayed there for a wedding. That place
is
gorgeous.
Nice place. Yeah, it's a neat hotel. We used to go there. They had a thing back when I was in college, which was many moons ago. They had something, there was a bar downstairs, and I guess you could almost call it a club. It was called the Fog Cutter. And I'm not sure if fog would roll in the lake. I'm not sure exactly where it got its name, but this is back in the early 80s, so it could be from anything. The Fog Cutter on Friday night would have Fog Down, which was like a happy hour that started at 4 p.m. and went to 6. And for, I want to say $10, it was all you could drink during those 2 hours.
Oh, wow. My kind of place.
College kids. Oh my gosh. It was crazy. But yeah, so we were hammering, probably screwdrivers or something at
the screwdrivers?
Oh my
Come
gosh.
on.
I know. Hard to imagine.
Well, I just can't imagine any college kid really drinking screwdrivers. Why? I don't know why. I mean, it's a really simple drink.
But it was a bargain. Because normally we drink beer, and I will tell you a story about beer drinking in a moment on campus. But this was unusual. So it's a little bit. What's that?
Kids don't drink on campus. What are you talking about? It's illegal.
Back in the old days, we did, because it was 18-year-old drinking age.
Oh,
yes. So nothing but trouble. And so we thought, well, it's a bargain. $1, you can have anything. So we drank screwdrivers because they were obviously a much higher brow drink than our normal beer crap.
Your PBRs.
Strohs, or whatever the heck we drank. Anyway, yes, that was at the Concourse Hotel. The Fog Cutter.
The Fog Cutter. They must have a drink called the Fog Cutter, because that sounds familiar. But the screwdriver, I think it's funny, is the screwdriver. And when I was in college, when we had access to alcohol, we were drinking things like Long Island iced teas, because we thought they would mess you up a lot. Because drinking back then wasn't about the taste. It wasn't about being highbrow. It was about getting fucked up. I did that for you, Eric, because I missed my new sign off at the end of last episode because I was so out of it. But yeah, so we were doing Long Island iced teas when we had that option and when we weren't drinking beer.
PoddiMouths interrupt us.
All right, so that kind of sucked a little bit, John. We got disconnected. How many times is that now?
17.
17 feels like 17.
It does.
This is pretty nasty. So I went and reset my internet again. My wonderful, lovely hashtag AT&T sucks internet. I really wish I could put that in our tags when I post our podcast. Hashtag AT&T sucks. No, probably they'd probably nail me for slander or libel or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
PoddiMouth.
PoddiMouth, yeah. Hashtag PoddiMouths rock. I wish that they would do that.
Maybe they will.
Yeah. Well, and as we were talking and getting kicked off again, you had said, we got to be careful. They might become a sponsor someday. And I said, no way in hell are they ever going to sponsor the PoddiMouths podcast. Even if they give me, The way you said it was $10 million an episode. Nope.
You're still not in.
Nope. Now, if we start another podcast, it might be a different story, but not the PoddiMouths, because we have
When did that
standards
start? I need to check my memos.
Yeah, you should. Maybe listen to all 41 episodes.
I have. And we are sick.
Hey, see, I laughed. Look, it didn't hurt. We are sick. I'm surprised anyone listens to us.
I am delightfully surprised.
Hey, speaking of, did you see Bill? The only reason I'm calling this out, because he actually said something in the comments about he wishes that Facebook didn't notify his friends when he changed his photo.
Yes.
On his, But I got to call him out anyways, because it's a great photo of him wearing a PoddiMouths shirt.
And holding an awesome wrench. Mr. Good Wrench. Yeah.
We're throwing a lot of these names around. Hopefully we won't get demonetized.
I don't think Mr. Good Wrench is still a moniker in the GM family any longer. I could be wrong.
Oh, good. Well, someone owns it, I'm sure.
Well, I'm sure of that.
Doesn't matter.
They still own it, but you know how they kind of come and go in marketing terminology. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, you were talking about you being a bartender, remember?
So,
and you drank.
Oh, that's right. No, I don't, but okay. I like to talk a big game about certain things. But very few of them are actually necessarily true in context. I was never a big drinker. I'm not a big drinker, but I do enjoy talking about the fun other people have had while I'm around. And I did partake. I'm not saying I didn't, but it never something that I sought, as opposed to some of my college mates and friends and things like that. But yes, I was a bartender in college. So my roommates were very lucky, and they didn't just stick to one or two drinks because that's what they kind of knew from growing up or from seeing things on TV. So like screwdrivers and Long Island iced teas. I was making things like, I can't even remember some of the names of them, but I was doing absinthe cocktails. And,
oh, wow.
And I was doing Manhattans and
this was not a college bar then.
Yeah. No. Brandy stingers and things like that. So they got to experience quite a few different types of drinks that were unique. So I had a really good broad range of drinks in my arsenal when I was in college.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was spoiled.
Yeah,
the theme of the PoddiMouths is #Nick led a spoiled life.
Well, you still had to work.
Oh, of course I did. But
10 bars.
I still spoil. I'm not saying I didn't spoil myself. That's what I'm saying. Other people did spoil me, but I also spoiled myself.
You were spoiled all by yourself. That's how it goes.
Yep.
And you know what? And that's it is different, based on what you drink. Because truly, when we went out, having drinks when I was in school. And as I said, when I went to college, the drinking age was 18 in Wisconsin. So it was just a no-brainer. We were going to go out Thursday nights at the Stone Hearth, or as we lovingly called it, the Stone Bone. They had dollar pitcher nights, if you can imagine.
That's expensive. I'll tell you my story here in a minute. Go ahead.
Okay.
Keep going.
So dollar pitcher nights, we would just go. I mean, you brought $5 and you could get hammered, and it was not great, but it was probably Stroh's or Coors. I don't even think they imported Coors back then. But regardless, it was crazy, and we had something we called the 3-Pitcher Club. And the 3-Pitcher Club, simply stated as the name implies, if you could drink 3 pitchers by yourself, you were in the club.
Wow.
So, and the monster pitchers like you see, I don't know the ounces, 64 or something like that, but you would drink 3 by yourself and then slammed on the glass and it was great. And one guy was never able to get in, Chuck. And Chuck, I have not kept up with Chuck. I would like to know where he is these days, but Chuck was trying and dying to be in the 3-Pitcher Club. So one night he finally made it, and he downed the last beer, slammed it on the table, said yes, and hurled.
Oh, no.
Instantaneously.
Oh, poor guy.
And we suddenly came up with rules that you had to actually keep it down. You couldn't.
But you still let him in the club, right? Because he tried so hard.
He did, and we felt bad for a second. Then you know what? It's because then it was Chuck, and we used to tease him and make fun because he wasn't a 3-pitcher club, so he did not.
You have it's a 3-pitcher hurl.
He was in the 2.95 pitcher club, and that's pretty much where it ended up. But yes, a pretty funny.
Nice. So, and I'm assuming you said that was back when you were 18, 19, something like that.
Yeah, probably. Yep.
So, and I'm not calling you old. You are, but I'm not calling you that. But there is a difference. No, you're hearing wrong. You really are. But there is. Let's just put it this way: there is a fairly large age gap between yourself and myself.
Of course,
right?
It's monster. It's massive. I could be your dad.
You could be technically, yeah. Thank God you're not, but you know.
Putting you through college would have been terribly expensive.
We'll talk about that later. So this wasn't even college. This was after college. And I want to say this was even after I had moved away from St. Louis and moved back.
Yep.
So we're talking early 2000s, 2003, 4, 5, something like that.
Okay.
That was about the time the microbrew trend was really starting to hit its stride. And St. Louis has always been a beer town, but there are a lot of microbrews there. There was one, and I don't know what it is about Thursday nights, but there was one that Thursday night after 10 p.m., because bars stayed open in St. Louis until 3, after, or 2 or 3, whatever it is, after 10 p.m., 75-cent pitchers of craft beer. Not Coors, craft. So you could have a lager, you could have dark beer, you could have coffee, whatever you wanted, 75 cents.
Wow.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So we would literally, it would be a group of us, about 10 people. And this is, again, we didn't drink a ton, but I mean, it was a pretty good deal. So we would come in and everyone would throw a quarter into the pot and we'd have 3 or 4 pitchers after that. Because of that. So it literally just cost us a quarter to drink for a couple hours.
That's awesome. And so you would just mess around the rest of the evening and wait until 10 o'clock came around?
We actually just didn't go anywhere. We would be at home doing, some people were still in school, so they'd be doing homework, or, we'd be watching TV or doing other work. And then when 10 o'clock rolled around, we just hop over to the bar.
So these days, because now it's probably this for you and Jennifer that you guys go out starting at like 10 or 11, to catch a band and stuff like that.
10 or 11, I will still be up, but no one else in my house will be up at 10 or 11. And I'm definitely not going anywhere at 10 or 11 at night.
Somebody did something on Facebook that said something about, you not go out until 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. But these days, I can't start a movie at 8 p.m. because there's no way I'll stay awake for it.
Yeah. I did that last night. I wanted to watch a movie and I looked at the clock. It said 8:15. I'm like, no, it's not going to work.
There's no way I'm going to be awake.
Which is weird because I was still up until 2 a.m.
Sure.
But it was 8:15. I'm like, no, it's too late to start a movie because I had fully expected to go to bed a lot earlier. And actually I was in bed when I was up at 2 a.m. That was one thing going back to the very beginning of the podcast. I have not since Monday night, which is probably why Tuesday was so great. I haven't slept more than maybe the most I've slept is 5 hours in the last week. And I don't know what it is.
Why don't you catch a little nap in the afternoon?
I can't. I could, but in the middle of the day, if I go to bed, then I know I'm not going to sleep at night.
Oh.
So I try to stay up during the day so I will sleep at night, but then I just lay down. I think the biggest problem is I was telling Matt, one of our coworkers, he's been on the podcast, Matt. I was telling him the other day, I think that my body, I don't believe that we can catch up on sleep. And there's a lot of evidence, I guess, that people say you can't literally catch up on sleep. Like literally. But I think I have slept so much in the last 2 weeks. My body's like, no, you don't need any more sleep.
Wow.
Done. We're done. No sleep. Can't do it anymore.
Huh.
I haven't been able to sleep.
Yeah,
which I've never had that problem
for
before.
the past years. I probably have off and on, but yeah, it's not a big deal as long as it's if you and I had a 9-to-5 job where we had someplace every morning at 9 and work it till 5, then it would suck. But because of what our jobs are, I am regularly. If I can't sleep, I'll just hop up and do some work in the office or something, just in order to stay, at least somewhat productive.
Right. Yeah. I should do that more often, but my concern, I'm going to make an excuse here. It's probably a lame excuse, but every time I get up, I'm not the quietest person in the world.
What?
And my wife is a very light sleeper. So I wake her up all the time. So I try not to get up and do work because my office is right above our bedroom.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That would make it a little more difficult, I think. I guess.
It does, but it's a lame excuse. I should just, not care and just go and do work.
Or just be quiet.
Or I could try that. But I'm part Polish.
What, the loud part?
I trip over things. I break things. If I pull one book off the shelf, the whole shelf comes down. That's just how I am.
I thought maybe, you'd bring out some pots and pans and make a pan of baked beans or something like that.
But why? No.
Well, I'm just thinking about all the noise you make.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. I see where you're going. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Well, it's about time.
I know, it's so rare.
Yes, I know. Well, and that's the thing too, because people will say, well, you should never get up if you wake up in the middle of the night because then you will have trouble going back to sleep. I already have trouble going back to sleep. I as well get up.
Well, I've also heard the opposite. I've heard people say if you can't fall asleep within the first 30 minutes, you should get up and do something.
Yeah. Well,
because you're just going to lay there. And I went to bed last night at 11. And when I looked at the clock, actually, I pulled out my iPad, which I know is not a good thing but I don't like to turn on the light because that's going to wake up my wife. So I pulled out my iPad to read a book.
Sure.
On Kindle. And I looked at the clock and it was 2 a.m.
Wow.
So I had been laying there from 11 till 2.
3 hours of reading.
Not sleeping. No, it was, I read for about 15 minutes, put the book down and then fell asleep. Oh. So I should have done that at 11:30 when I wasn't sleeping.
You know what you should do?
That was kind of my point.
Try this. We'll do like a test. So if you, instead of reading or whatever, if you can't go to sleep, do push-ups until you can't do them anymore.
I can't do push-ups right now. Thanks, John.
Do them. And see, that's what I mean. You could, that's it. Or probably not sit-ups either.
Yeah, I can't do either.
How about
someone weird? We had a call yesterday with my specific team. I almost said Pacific. That would have been really bad. Specific team. Well, and the first thing Chris did was say, "Okay, everyone, stand up and do jumpy jacks." I'm like, "You asshole! You know I can't do that." I truly think he did it just to piss me off. I really do. Chris, if you're listening, I didn't like the joke. Actually, it was pretty damn funny.
Yeah, can I just say, Chris, just so you know, that was awesome. Well done.
Yeah, well played, sir. Well played.
And I think that's the second time in this podcast we've said jumping jacks.
When did we say jumping? You must have been cut out by the system because I didn't hear you say jumping jacks before.
No. Oh, great. Now we're going to try and disprove my contention.
I like to disprove everything. Speaking of disproving.
Yes. Yeah.
I really don't know where I was going. I thought you might pick up on that and go somewhere with it.
You're going to try to disprove something that I said, and then you go, aha, I've forgotten.
Yep. Well, I didn't forget. I actually just didn't have anything. I had nothing planned in my head. I just wanted to segue somehow off of me being sick again. Really? Not sick, injured.
Speaking of this.
Oh, I sent you that video. Yeah, I sent you that video. What'd you think?
Funny. What video?
The injured bad video.
Oh, it was cute.
Isn't that funny, though?
It was really cute.
I love it. Yeah. I loved it. He was injured. Injured bad.
Real bad. He was really cute.
I mean, how old? He was probably, 5 years old?
Say again?
He's 5 years old? A little kid that was doing that?
Guess, someplace 4 or 5, but he was
You know, he did. He kicked him in the penis. He was injured. Injured bad.
Injured bad. Yeah, it was really cute. And there are surprising, perhaps, or at least to me, a lot of those videos out there. I mean, just cute, and kids who are remarkably well spoken.
Oh yeah, yes,
just unbelievable.
Yep,
unbelievable. Anyway, yes, it was worthy. Thank you for that.
It was definitely worth. I also think, because most of our listeners, I would assume, not all, but most of our listeners are in the car business like us, because we shamelessly promote our podcast through our friends. And the one video we did mention it, I called it the Weasel, but it's the Badger.
Yeah,
the car sales Badger. I love those videos. I could watch them 100 times in a row, and every time probably laugh a little harder, because we all know people like that in the car business.
True. The problem is,
even if it's just one little mannerism,
they've been around for years. So I literally have watched them hundreds of times. So I get less.
I know, right?
enthused about them. So yes, IKR.
You're less enthused about them?
You are.
What?
I'm less enthused about the Badger videos in comparison with your enthusiasm.
Well, I'm enthused about a lot of things that I maybe shouldn't be, but I am.
Have you seen the Drunk Monkey?
The Drunk Monkey? No, I don't think I've seen the Drunk Monkey.
Trunk Monkey.
Yeah, you're starting to. AT&T is having a ball with us today.
Well, that's how AT&T rolls.
I love AT&T. Hashtag AT&T sucks.
I love AT&T. I'm trying to be the Nick Offset here.
Oh, you know what? Eric, our friend Eric, I want you to call Mr. Quaddy after you listen to this episode and tell him to start swearing, because I'm swearing for you, buddy. I haven't heard John swear in like 3 episodes.
I don't need to. I have other people who would prefer that I remain a little bit unswearing. And so you're serving Eric, which is great. And I'm serving all the priests that have logged in and are listening.
Oh, I quite honestly, and if we have priests that are listening, I would appreciate some feedback.
My pastor might at some point.
I have heard priests. Well, a pastor. Okay, there's a difference between a priest and a pastor.
I thought you said pasture. I'm sorry.
But,
never mind. Yes.
No, pastor.
Yes.
Pastor, not pasture. Sorry, my wife did say I'm starting to get a little bit of a Southern accent. I'm like, you suck. Anyway.
You are now.
I know. I have heard priests swear.
Okay.
Because swearing is not. We could debate that all day. Swearing is not necessarily bad. They're not swear words. They're emphasizing words. Or how did I put that? I told you once that Dax Shepard said it this way, and I really enjoy the way it was said.
Well, they're Peyton a certain thing about swearing in the future too.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I have heard priests swear.
I don't.
So it's not like they don't.
I've heard rabbis swear.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Wouldn't you if you were a rabbi?
Wow.
I hope there aren't any rabbis listening. There might be.
Certainly not.
I do have a pretty good Jewish.
The Rabbis League, or whatever the association.
They're probably the only ones that could afford to support us.
Yes,
that was a really off-color joke, and I apologize to my family who is Jewish.
I'm sorry, Lord.
Like to apologize. all the little what it was. I don't even remember what he used to say. He doesn't say that anymore. I might cut all of this out of the pod. I really am going to cut all of this out of the podcast.
Honestly, this may be some of our best stuff to certain people.
It probably is, but we are alienating everybody, and we're going to get ourselves in trouble for making off-color jokes. I mean,
seriously, you think that's going to dent our listeners?
It might.
I'm not sure. I don't know, but they probably will not be playing any of our episodes, though, at the next priest conference or rabbi. What do they have?
Did I ever tell you about the priest conference that I worked on when I was in college?
We've all heard it. No, why would you ever bring that up? No. Tell us.
So there is, St. Louis is a big Catholic town, and there's an archdiocese there. And I worked for a company that, again, will remain nameless, but it was an event company. So we planned major events for people, and the Archdiocese of St. Louis planned a summit in St. Louis, and we took over the convention center and the stadium where the Rams used to play.
Yes.
They were still playing there then. I mean, it was massive. So we had carts that would take us from one end of the convention center to the other and back, and we had our own, but we let a priest borrow it. and we had to go to the other end from the office. So when he pulled up, and these are those 4 and 6 passenger carts,
like a golf cart. Yeah.
Thing on the back for golf clubs. It just has another seat.
Yeah.
So he comes back like it's a golf cart. Yeah. So he came back, and it was the priest, who probably was 25 years old, very young priest, with 3 nuns, very young nuns, probably the same age.
Is this a joke?
So, no, well, it's going to be kind of a joke, but it was this actually happened.
Okay.
So we looked. He pulled up, and we looked and said, "Hey, Father, how's everything going? Great. We need to grab the cart and borrow it." And so he looked at us, looked at the nuns, looked back at us, and said, "Flip a nun for it."
What?
Yeah.
Flip a nun for it.
And of course, the nuns just sat there and giggled. We'll flip a nun for it.
Wow. And did you flip a nun? Or?
Oh, we didn't flip a nun. No, I just looked at him wide-eyed, scared, because I was a college kid, and I was like, "Oh, I can't believe you just said that." Okay, but no, they got off, and we took the cart.
Well, maybe,
but that was really.
What
funny.
if he knew that the nuns, in their youthfulness, were like ex-gymnasts or something, and then you'd say deal, and then she gets one of the nuns, obviously the gymnast nun, gets off there and does like cartwheels or something. You'd be flabbergasted.
That would have been excellent. That would have been I probably would have now. Hindsight's 2020. If I knew then what I know now, I probably would have tried that. But I was a young, dumb college kid. Well, I'm still dumb, but at least I'm not in college anymore.
At least you're not in college anymore. I can't tell you how many times I've said that in normal conversation.
I keep calling him and say, "Will you please take me back? Please?" And then they say, "Well, you have to pay us." I'm like, "No, just take me back. I want to come back."
And that's that motorcycle technician school.
Yeah, I know. I've tried everything.
The truck driving school. Hey, Mav, You still got the number to that truck driving school? There you go.
Oh, boy. Anyway, John, I think because I'm starting to hear some more issues in the background, and I have a feeling we're going to get kicked off again. I think we might need to cut this one short. We're going to click off again, yeah.
Let's do, but you know what? It's still been fun, and I think it's good for your health too to make sure. Let's keep them manageable right now, and I think it's also important to keep Bill Taylor from running too far. So if we have short PoddiMouths episodes, he won't have to go as far. He just go right to the bar.
Right to the bar. Yes, wearing the PoddiMouths shirt, carrying a wrench.
Yeah, carrying a wrench and getting the dollar pitcher.
Exactly. So in the last note, in St. Louis, they also, every day during the week, you could cross the river into Illinois and get 75-cent long necks.
Ooh.
And pretty much any bar.
And let's tell people, just so they know, long necks are not people with really long necks in Illinois.
No,
beers.
No.
Okay.
They're beers, yeah. They're glass bottle beers. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, some
long
of them are tin
necks.
now.
Oh my gosh, those are wow. Are they talking about people from necks? Quincy?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. There's a little geographical humor for you to end the day.
That was good. All right, folks. I hope you have thoroughly enjoyed our rants and raves this week. If you would be so kind, head up to our website. And if you haven't already, subscribe to our podcast at your favorite podcast listening source. And also, from the website, go ahead and, you can listen from the website too, if you really want to. Yeah. It's kind of hard on mobile, I guess, but I guess it can be done. But sure. I would also jump onto our social media networks. Let us know how bad you think our jokes are. I would love to hear from you. And, if you have anything negative to say, oh my goodness, Peyton, you just scared the crap out of me.
Hi, Peyton.
Hold on. Come here. Say hi to John.
Hi, Peyton. Hi. Thank you for scaring your dad.
You're welcome, I guess.
Okay, I'm taking him back now.
That's awesome.
All right, that was a nice way to end. That was our interview for the week.
I like that. You may want to go change your catheter now.
No, they took that out before I woke up, remember?
Oh, that's right.
Golly, John, that was only last week we talked about that. Yeah, we had a bedpan.
You have a bedpan.
Yep, exactly. Hey, I can get out of bed now. That's a big step for me.
Thank goodness. We're all happy.
All right, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Where did I leave off? Go to the website. Oh, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, all those good places. Eat, Drink Road is another place to follow us. Even though we haven't been posting much because I haven't been on the road. So I'm relying on you, John. You should have taken some smell-o-vision from
Let's
your
do
musty
eat,
hotel.
drink,
equivalent
hospital. Maybe that would be a better one.
Ooh.
Yeah, just
It
saying.
might be for the time
For us.
being, except I didn't eat anything there
Good.
either. Yeah.
Okay, pal.
All right.
Thank you. Talking with you.
Have a great week, folks.